Hello and welcome to another MeatRx success story. Today we have our friend Will, who is going to share his carnivore success story with us, and it's quite a dramatic one, if I may say so. So yeah, I'm just looking at his spreadsheet he sent me here before of his weight loss. He kept track of everything. I was just saying how much I wish I had done this when I was on my journey, but anyway, so how you doing, Will? Oh, I think you muted yourself accidentally.
Can you?
There we go.
Okay.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, I'm fantastic.
You look good. And looking at your spreadsheet here, how much were you at your biggest?
345 pounds.
Holy mackerel. Wow.
And
And down, sorry, what?
that was 1 year and 2 weeks ago.
Very nice. And how much do you weigh now?
172.2 pounds as of this morning. I can officially say I'm half the man I used to be.
That's incredible. Wow. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So, okay, well, take us back to the very beginning. And before we find out how you found out about carnivore, tell us what your health was like before.
Pretty poor. Probably the biggest thing that got me looking into diet and lifestyle ways to improve my health was a type 2 diabetes diagnosis. And I received that in December of 2019. I also had a lot of problems with IBS and digestion issues. I had sleep apnea. I had joint pain and stiffness, especially in the mornings when I woke up from sleeping or when would sit for too long, which I did a lot of. I had edema in my feet and legs, and even in my right eye, and occasionally my tongue while sleeping.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I would get muscle cramps and spasms in my lower back and sometimes my abdominals. I had a lot of sinus and allergy problems. And I also had hormonal issues with testosterone, being too low and estrogen being too high.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So for those who don't know, what is edema?
It's swelling.
Mm.
So it's a circulatory problem. So my feet and my ankles and even my lower shins on both of my legs would swell up.
Oh, is that the thing? Yeah, I thought it was something else. Okay. Yeah. I guess my cover's blown. I didn't have a clue what it was. But but you see those people who are extremely overweight that have like the red blotches on their ankles and shins, that area. That's what that
Yes,
is then.
yes. So
Oh.
that was kind of all the hormonal issues I had going on. I also had a lot of skin issues. Uh,
Hmm.
I had dandruff since I was 13 years old. Psoriasis, not a very bad case, but just lots of little spots on my arms and shoulders and back. Uh, I constantly get hangnails on my fingernails, and I'd fight athlete's foot. I'd cure it, I'd treat it and make it go away. It'd come back a few months later, just over and over again in a cycle. Uh, I have a couple of patches of skin that were losing pigmentation. I never had it diagnosed. I don't know if it's vitiligo or alopecia or something else, but and I also had some poor gum health in my oral health, bleeding gums and receding gums. Then I would say lastly is just the mental state I was in was not good. My my thinking was losing a lot of its sharpness and focus that I'd always kind of been my thing. Um, and dealing with stress and anxiety and feelings of depression was something that I struggled with on a daily basis, and was just getting worse and worse. And my self-talk, even the way I thought of myself and talked to myself in my head about myself, was just not good. And that caused a lot of procrastination, a lot of overwhelm, a lot of not being able to motivate myself to do the things that I wanted to do or knew I needed to do. And I was just in a really bad place.
Yeah, I can identify with that. The hopelessness when you're
Yeah.
that overweight. Yeah, I remember that. It's and you don't really know what to do, and it just seems like so much work. It's overwhelming, right? So that's why I understand why so many people feel hopeless and they don't do anything about it.
And you try doing everything that you're told to, and eat less, work out more, get more exercise, and it doesn't work, or it certainly doesn't work long term.
Yeah, absolutely. The counting calories drives me nuts. That's no way to live. So, okay, so how did you find out about carnivore? What was the last straw for you?
Uh, I mean, honestly, it was the type 2 diabetes diagnosis. And my doctor wanted to put me on 2 or 3 different prescription medications that I've never felt good about taking medications, especially long term. Like, you're going to be on this the rest of your life, And I don't know where it came from, but I told him no. I told him, you can write those prescriptions, but I'm not going to fill them. And I said, I know I've heard about people resolving this with diet and lifestyle changes. Give me 6 months to try that. And if I can't improve my numbers, I'll do whatever you tell me.
That's
uh,
awesome.
he didn't exactly like it, but we agreed to do that. I set a follow-up appointment for 6 months later, and I went home and felt sorry for myself for 2 months, but started looking into ways that you can try to counter diabetes with diet and lifestyle, and
Mhm.
kind of started going down the keto, low carb, carnivore rabbit hole. And I think it was on Joe Rogan's podcast, I heard Jordan Peterson talking about the carnivore diet and how it had helped him and his daughter. And then I watched his daughter's podcast with Joe Rogan, and ShawnBaker's podcast with Joe Rogan, and the things that they were saying were just ticking all the boxes for me. First of all, I'd always been drawn to a protein heavy diet. I think my body always knew that's what I needed. And so that was fine. And a lot of the things that especially the Peterson said about the mental health and that, and then I also had the skin stuff that I had always known had an autoimmune component to it. And of course, especially Michaela Peterson, so much of her story is about autoimmune conditions. And I just thought, and the more I looked into it, the more I learned that if nothing else, carnivore diet's the ultimate elimination diet. So why not try it? Why not start with it and see how well it worked for me? So I decided I was going to try it. I set myself a date. I had a last minute carb addicted negotiation with myself and went out to McDonald's for breakfast the first day I was supposed to start the carnivore diet, and said, all right, I'm starting after breakfast. And then I've been eating that way since.
Wow.
That was February 20th of last year of 2020.
Wow, that's awesome. So was it hard to implement the diet? Like, did you have any hurdles to overcome?
Well,
Obviously the carb addiction, but
I'll tell you, the first 3 days or so were really rough. The first week wasn't that pleasant, but it's been fairly easy after that.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that's the hardest part is the
with,
getting over the sugar and carbs.
and I went from the sad diet, standard American diet that you could have. I mean, I was probably eating fast food twice a day, and then cooking my dinner, and having a midnight snack every night. I
Yeah.
remember corn chips and salsa being a big deal for that.
Oh, you and I must be long lost twins or something, because that's exactly what
And
I ate
and
like.
I would probably drink in a 2 liter soda a day, and it was bad, but
Mhm.
uh, that probably isn't the easiest way to jump directly from that into strict carnivore, but it can be done, which is what I did.
Yeah, I'm like that too. I have a very all or nothing thinking, black or white. So it would not work for me to ease into it. I had to jump in,
I
you
think
know.
that's another, I'm the same way. And I think that's another reason I chose to go carnivore instead of keto or something like that was having some of something and restricting and moderating the amount just seemed less tenable for me than cutting it out.
Hmm. Yeah. So, okay. So when did you start to see results?
Immediately,
Yeah, I'm gonna look at
I
your spreadsheet.
I lost what 5 or 6 pounds a week for the first month, I think.
Mm.
Uh, I immediately started feeling better as far as my energy levels. Uh, I used to have that crash mid morning and mid afternoon in energy where I'd be staring at my spreadsheets at work and I'd be nodding off right there at the desk, and definitely within a week, I was already noticing so many improvements.
Mhm. Looking at your spreadsheet here, I see you lost 20 pounds in the first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Um, wow. About 45 pounds in the first 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, the weight comes off very quickly. I
I
remember that myself. So
I know before I started, I just told myself I was doing it for 30 days. I'm not leaving myself any outs. I'm going to do it. And at the end of the 30 days, I felt so good. I was like, there was no way I was making a change.
hmm, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So okay, did people around you start to notice? What were
Well,
people's reactions?
that's been really interesting for me because I started in late February of 2020, and I was just kind of getting into the groove of figuring out how to do. I quit eating breakfast almost immediately, and so I was doing my lunch at work, and then my dinner, and I had a few people kind of notice that something different was going on and ask me what I was doing different with my lunches, and then uh, April came along, and at the end of April, everyone got sent to work from home because
Hmm.
of the COVID pandemic.
Hmm.
And so a lot of my changes happened while I was working from home exclusively, uh, which I think was a big boon to me because it really let me focus on just eating when I was hungry and figuring out what my meal frequency would look like, and not having to worry about fitting it into a work schedule since my work schedule was more flexible when I was working from home. And after a couple of months into the diet, I started walking daily uh, as well. And I was able to establish that habit while I was working from home and then maintain it when I went back to work, working in the office. And so at my employer, coming back into the office from the time we were working at home was kind of not everyone did it at the same time. And some people today are still working from home. So all my coworkers that I run into, some of them hadn't seen me for 2 months, some of them hadn't seen me for 4 months, some of them hadn't seen me for 6 or 8 months. And the comments have been really revealing, including some of my coworkers asking other coworkers, "Who is that guy?" Oh, that's Will. And
Wow.
some of them making comments like, I didn't realize it was you until you walked up to me and started talking, and I heard your voice. Yeah, and I remember one very distinct time. a coworker walked up to me and said, you just don't even look like the same person. And I'm a little proud of this, but I came up back with a pretty witty response, and it was, welcome to the real me,
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
which is
awesome.
exactly how it's felt, that I've gotten back to being the person I was intended to be, or designed or built to be, instead
Mm-hmm.
of that guy who was just so out of balance hormonally, and unhealthy and sick and unhappy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you definitely do have a positive, happy glow about you. So, yeah, that's awesome. And it's true. The, the most we could do to advertise it is really our example. So, you know, um, that's incredible. Will, thank you very much for sharing that. So, what advice would you give to someone else who is possibly in the same position you were in before you started and is thinking of trying it?
Um, I know quite a few people in my orbit have expressed a lot of interest in my diet and the results I've gotten from it. And I've watched a lot of them try it and not be able to stick to it, or not be firm in their decision to do it. Look for all the excuses they can. And I guess the best advice I can have is, if you decide that you're ready to make a change, don't leave yourself an out. Don't 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 accept any excuses. Make a firm
Hmm.
decision that you're going to try it for, whether it's 30 or 60 or 90 days, and you just have to decide that and set it in your mind that this is what I'm going to do.
Hmm.
And if you give yourself enough time, you'll know if it's going to work for you or not, and you'll know if you're going to get the results you want or not. It doesn't happen overnight. We didn't get this way overnight, and
Hmm.
you have to stick to it a bit to be able to start seeing the results.
It's true. Yeah. It's just, but I mean, for me, I knew that the weight would come off, but it's just, I didn't feel sick all the time anymore. So, I mean, you feel good the whole way, right?
You don't even realize all the problems you had before until they're gone.
Yeah. It took me a few months to even realize my acid reflux was gone, because it just wasn't on my mind anymore, you know? And then I was like, I heard someone else mention that they had it, and I was like, oh yeah, I used to have that so bad I was going to need surgery, you know?
I'm going to tell you, I've had so many times where people have asked me to tell them what all improvements I've had, and I never remember them all.
Yep.
I had to write myself down a list over here on the other side of my screen for this interview, because there's just so many improvements, and some of them that I didn't even realize were related to diet until this diet cured them or improved them by 70, 80, 90%. So
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's awesome. And I know this interview is going to help a lot of people, your experience. So, and that's the best part, really, is you're doing great, but your experience can help so many other people improve
I,
their lives.
I sure wish somebody had told me about this 20 years ago. Uh, and I'm 45 now, and I feel like I'm 25 again. It's been amazing.
Yeah. You don't look 45, by the way, but
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thanks so much, Will. And yeah, I'm sure we'll see you around the carnivore community. And yeah, thanks a lot for sharing your story. It's very inspiring and encouraging. And I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people. So,
Thanks for doing this.
yeah, take care, Will. See you later.
Bye.